Hello, and welcome to this video on the beer game. In this video, I'll be going through what the beer game is, how it's played, and some of the key results that you should find after playing this game. So first things first, what exactly is it? Well, it's a supply chain simulation that was developed by professors at MIT in the 1960s, and it demonstrates quite well some of the key principles found within supply chain, and we'll talk about these later towards the end of this video. The whole point of my project was to develop the material for this game so that it could be passed down to some members of the marketing teams so that they can train new members of staff to what supply chain is, but also you can play this game for fun. Maybe with some beer next time, okay? Because we're at L'Oreal, I thought that beer wasn't the most appropriate choice of product to use, so what I've done instead is rename this game as a shampoo game. And here, as you can see, we have some Shuramura shampoo. Hope you find this video useful and informative. Before we play the beer game, or shampoo game even, I'm sure you're all desperately wanting to know who supply chain are and what we actually do. I mean, if you think we only approve NCOs, then you're slightly wrong. So the consumer, that's you and me, we want to buy some shampoo. We go to retailers like Asda, Boots, Tesco for example. Your wholesaler has to get the shampoo from somewhere. They go to a wholesaler. Your wholesaler gets their shampoo from the distributor, and the distributor gets their shampoo from the factory. In other words, the retailer orders from the wholesaler orders from the distributor, and the distributor orders from the factory. In PPD, you can think of our wholesaler as our local distribution centre, which is in Bury in Greater Manchester, and you can think of our distributor as the International Distribution Centre called MSL, which stands for Marketing Supply Logistics. On the other hand, the factory sends out shampoo to MSL. MSL send out their shampoos to Bury, Bury send the shampoo to the retailer, and the consumer can buy the shampoo off the retailer, and now they're happy because they can wash their hair using some lovely shampoo. In this game, you'll see that there's a 2-week delay, and what I mean by this, so say if the retailer places an order in week 1, Bury don't receive it until week 3. If Bury places an order in week 3, MSL don't read it in week 5. And similarly, say if the factory sends out shampoo to MSL in week 10, MSL don't receive it until week 12. If MSL sends out a delivery in week 14, Bury don't receive it until week 16. But this will become much more clear as we play the game. So, what is the aim of this game? Before I explain this, here's just a quick summary of what I said on the previous slide. As you can see, the main aim of this game is for you to choose an appropriate amount of shampoo to order each week so that you're able to fulfill the orders that you receive whilst minimising your inventory levels and without you going into backlog. So there's 3 parts here. The first part is for you to fulfill your orders, so have enough stock so that you can send the stock out, minimise your inventory levels, basically don't have too much, and without going into backlog, make sure you have enough stock. So, what happens is that the consumer demand is already predetermined by a pack of cards in this game, and each week the retailer will read this card. They then place an order to Bury for the amount of shampoos that they think will enable them to fulfill the consumer demand whilst minimising their own inventory levels and without going into backlog. Likewise, Bury will read the retailer's order. They place an order to MSL for which they believe will minimise their own inventory levels and without going into backlog, but also making sure that they have enough to fulfill the retailer's order. Likewise, MSL reads Bury's order. They place an order to the factory of an amount of shampoo that they think will enable them to fulfill Bury's order whilst minimising their own inventory levels and without going into backlog. So each week you can order no units of shampoo if you're getting quite overstocked. If you're running out of shampoo, you might want to order 5 units, 10 units, 20 units. There's no right answer. It just depends on how much stock you currently have. Just remember the aim of the game though. Choose an appropriate amount of orders of shampoo to order each week so that you're able to fulfill the orders, minimize inventory, and without going into backlog. Only a few more rules to go before we can get started with this game. We'll be charging you 50 pence per item in stock per week, and this just acts as an incentive for you to be actually minimising your inventory levels. In real life, at distribution centres, space is quite limited and space does cost money, so I think 50 pence is actually quite cheap in the grand scheme of things. In addition, we'll be charging you £1 per item in backlog per week, and this just acts as a deterrent for you to avoid being out of stock. And as you can see, being 2 items in stock costs the same as being 1 item out of stock. So there's a trade-off between ordering too much and too little, and it's for you to decide how much you want to order. We'll play this game for 52 weeks, i.e. 52 rounds, and there is to be no communication between any of the players. The only way you can communicate is through your order slips, and that's it. As I said before, the retailer is the only player to know the consumer demand because they're reading directly from the consumer demand cards. The rest of you need to try and work it out so you can sense what the consumer demand is so you can place orders of an appropriate amount. One final word is that you'll be marked as a whole team, i.e. a whole supply chain, so there's no point if the retailer has done well to minimise their inventory levels when the factory has just gone a bit crazy and become so overstocked. So just bear that in mind when you're placing orders. You're marked as a whole team, you're not marked as individuals. Just a very quick definition on what backlog actually is. So this formula says that the orders to fulfill in week N is the sum of new orders in week N plus the backlog from week N-1. So that's the previous week. We'll just go through a quick example using this formula. So say at the end of week 9, you have a backlog of 5 units. In week 10, you have an incoming order of 10 units of shampoo. So according to the formula, in week 10, we have to try and fulfill 15 units of shampoo. So the orders to fulfill in week 10 is the sum of the new orders in week 10 plus the backlog from week N-1, i.e. week 9. Also, in each week, we have an incoming delivery. So for the sake of argument, let's just assume that the incoming delivery in week 10 is 8 units of shampoo. We have 8 units of shampoo in our inventory. We have to send out 15. Therefore, we've got a backlog of 7 units of shampoo that we haven't been able to send out. We must try and send out this 7 units at a later point. So what I've shown here is that the backlog is cumulative. So what that means is that you can't just disregard it. In 1 week, you have to keep playing with it until you can get rid of it at a later stage. So now it's time to play the game. So what we'll do now is we'll go over the first round together. We'll play it as a demonstration, but consider this as week 1 of 52. I have one final thing to say, and that is, may the best team win. So this is currently what the game looks like. Each player should have 2 placemats, the retailer, A and B, Berry, C and D, MSL, E and F, and the factory, G and H. Each player should have 12 units of shampoo in their inventory, and there should be also 4 units of shampoo currently in transit. There should also be some order slips currently facing down. Now the first step is what we call slide and slide. So if everybody could take their left and their right hands out, if you're the retailer, Berry or MSL, place your left hand over delivery delay 2 and place your right hand over delivery delay 1. If you're the factory, place your left hand over production delay 2 and place your right hand over production delay 1. What slide and slide means is that we shift everything 1 position to our left. So if you watch this animation first, anything in delay 2 goes into our inventory, anything in delay 1 goes into delay 2, and note that delay 1 is now empty. Our second step is to read and fulfill our orders. So this step is different for each player. So if you're the retailer, pick up the consumer demand cards and add last week's backlog if it is non-zero. Fulfill this total amount as much as possible, and then place these items into the to consumer arrow. If you bury, read the retailer's order slip in order delay 2 and add last week's backlog if it is non-zero. Fulfill this total amount as much as possible, and then place the items into delivery delay 1. If you're MSL, read Berry's order slip in order delay 2 and add last week's backlog if it is non-zero. Fulfill this total amount as much as possible, and then place these items into delivery delay 1. If you're the factory, you actually have 2 steps here. Firstly, read MSL's order slip in order delay 2 and add last week's backlog if it is non-zero. Fulfill as much of this total amount as possible, and then place these into delivery delay 1. The next step is for the factory to read the factory order slips in the factory order. Place the amount ordered into production delay 1, and note that the factory is able to produce whatever they want because they have an unlimited amount of raw material. So if you watch this animation first, what we do is we read our order slips, send out what we need to send out, and the factory produces what it needs to produce. The third step is to advance and place our orders. So again, if you watch this animation, we shift our order slips one position to the right, and then on an empty piece of paper, write down the amount of shampoo you want to order for that week, bearing in mind the whole purpose of this game. And again, place these facing down, like so. And our last step is to record our stock, backlog and orders in our record sheets. So just be very careful when writing these numbers down, make sure it's neat. In particular, your orders, I've actually got an Excel spreadsheet which calculates automatically your stock and backlog levels per week. But for this game, I'll be testing you on your mental arithmetic, so I'll leave you to work that out as we play the game. Here's a very quick summary of what I discussed on the previous slide. And as you can see, we're currently using white chips, which are worth 1 unit of shampoo each. As we play the game, your inventory levels may increase, so feel free to change to a higher denomination as we play the game. Just 2 final notes. One of backlog, our stock is always 0, and what I mean by this is that every week you can only be in stock or be out of stock. So one of these numbers is 0, you cannot be both in stock and out of stock, so hopefully that makes sense. And step 3 is the only time you actually make a decision. The rest of the game is just moving tokens around and moving your order slips. Okay, so that was week 1 now completed. What we'll do now is we'll play week 2 out of 52, and it's important for everybody to be in sync with everybody else, because if you're too far ahead or you're falling behind, everybody gets confused and nobody knows what's happening. If there are no further questions, then we can finally play the game. Okay, so thanks for watching part 1 of this video. I hope you can join me in part 2, where I'll be discussing some of the key results that you should find after playing this game.